Welcome to Season 2 of the Wood Podcast. This is a lo-fi skateboard podcast where we talk about where we're from, our beginnings, our boards, our back problems, and our homies. We love the pros, but there's also a whole world of B-team celebrities, ramp builders, local rippers, little groms, and all the people you don't get to hear about on a normal basis. And who knows, you might actually hear a pro or two on here one day. But for now, enjoy the deep cuts.
Welcome to another edition of the Wood Podcast. I'm John Miller, and this podcast is brought to you by Helsik Beware Skateboards and Eureka Street Creative. And I'm here at the Banger and the Hangar, and I'm just pulling as many people as I can that I think that I know or that I think are cool or whatever. And this is one of those guys here from San Antonio, made the trek here as well as me. Mongochatter. I'll let you introduce yourself as well and how you want the public to call you and where they can find you real quick.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Jon Hanks. I do Mongochatter, which is a skateboarding podcast, videozine type thing. And it's on Instagram at Mongochatter and youtube.com/Mongochatter. But yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
All right,
for having
man.
me.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for jumping in. So I want to just start off with the basic questions and everything that I do with everybody. I want to get your first memory of skateboarding.
Oh, man. So there was this kid in my neighborhood that was he was kind of a bully. His name was Damon Souther. And it was the 80s, and he had a denim jean jacket, vest and stuff like that. And one day he got a skateboard and was rolling down the street, and my next door neighbor, her name was Val Chemansky. She was kind of the den mother of the neighborhood, this old school Italian East Coast lady. And she was she just made sure that, because this kid, Damon, brought the skateboard to the neighborhood. So it was no one had a skateboard yet. It was 1985. And so she was making sure everyone got a chance to ride. And I was kind of little, shy and young and 5 years old. But she made sure that I got, even though he was the bully, right? I got to ride his board. And I literally just kind of got hooked from then, and then ended up getting one for my birthday.
Oh, so she was like, Damien, you need to make sure Johnny gets his chance riding that skateboard.
Yeah, pretty much. His name was Damon, but yeah, she was just I don't know. She just made sure no one got left out.
Yeah.
And just made sure that every kid who wanted to, it was it was bringing fire back to the cave at that time, we're holy shit. And then we got to ride it.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, that's in San Antonio?
This was in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts? So you're originally from Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were an East Coaster.
Yeah. I grew up in a town called Newburyport, Massachusetts, which is a suburb of Boston. Yeah.
Oh, rad. So did you grow up there?
Grew up there, went to high school there and then went to, I've kind of been all over, went to Vermont, New York City, Seattle, California, all over California, back to Seattle, back to Boston, and then now here in Texas.
Okay, I had no idea you were an East Coaster. I just thought you were San Antonio through and through.
No, man. I take that as such a compliment, because all the time in San Antonio, people are always you're not from around here, are you? Yeah. No, I'm only 2 years into Texas.
Really?
I moved to San Antonio sight unseen, just.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, of all places too, because everybody's moving to Austin, it's just
That's kind of why I moved to San Antonio, because I had lived in Seattle for so long and spent so much time in San Francisco. And Boston is sort of becoming gentrified, homogenized.
Yeah.
And I just felt like San Antonio was in that sweet spot of it's the getting still good.
Yeah.
If you're working class skateboarding
Sure,
shit,
yeah.
it's still popping off, I would say.
Yeah, it still kind of has this local culture. I mean, there's local culture everywhere, but like you said about being homogenized and hipsterized in a way.
Yeah, it's very not, and it's cool because I've found that I'll be sitting, I'll sit and talking with someone randomly, and there is that astute dormant knowledge. Like people know about cool bands and stuff in San Antonio when you talk to them, but it's not like a hipster scene about it. It's more just casually like fans. Like, I don't know. I've met some really like gems of great people in San Antonio that are just salt of the earth, unpretentious, good folks.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that motto: "Keep San Antonio lame." You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Because all the hipsters moved to Austin. You're like, no, we don't want that to happen to our precious city. You know?
But I don't know. Like when I come up to Austin, I really do dig it because of like all the things that probably bring people there, like the food and the weather and just like the geography.
Yeah,
you know,
there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
About why people like it so much. Yeah,
it's an incredible place. So.
Yeah.
I mean, and I kind of moved to San Antonio with the idea of it's adjacent enough to Austin where I can satisfy my whims, you know?
Yeah, if you want to get out and experience that. So let's go back to Massachusetts and you started skating. Tell me about your very first skateboard.
It was like a blue, like Fiber Flex, like from a toy store. Like a
plastic banana board?
Yeah, like a blue plastic banana board with I think like marbly wheels.
Yeah.
And it was my 5th birthday, and got a gift from a friend, which was a pretty cool gift, like for a birthday present. Like you know, like one of those birthdays where it's like you invite everyone in the class, gets an invitation. And someone brought me a skateboard.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. That it was called KB Toy Stores.
Yeah, I remember KB Toys.
Yeah.
It's like Toys R Us's main competitor. Is Pepsi and Coke back in the day.
Yeah, and then after that, I think it was a Nash Nightmare. I had the Nash Nightmare.
Yes.
And then finally, eventually, I was like, I feel like my mom, she was like a single mom, and she wanted to see if I was like how committed I was. But then eventually, I think it was a few years in. Well, I know because it was on Christmas of 1989, I did get a proper Powell Peralta, Tommy Guerrero, the Flaming Sword, light blue, crossbones wheels. I think tracker trucks.
Okay,
it was like a good setup.
Yeah,
like So, but that took a while. That took a couple years.
Did you have all like the lapper and the coper and the tailbone?
Again, I think not so much. I remember having the tail guard and the nose, like the I guess whatever went on the nose. But I didn't have the lapper, the actual truck covers. I had the tail guard and the nose thing, I think. Yeah. And again, it was like my mom. Like she like literally didn't have a drill, right? So it was like the next door neighbor had to like put the rails on and stuff like that.
Did you tell her what to get, or did she go to the skate shop and was just?
It was Christmas. Yeah, it was just a surprise. It was like probably whoever worked there just told her that. Yeah,
I got the best thing for him. You know?
Yeah, it was so. I mean, I'm still so. I love that graphic so much, and Tommy G is one of my favorites. So I'm so stoked that was my that she got that one.
That's one of my favorite all-time graphics too, man.
It's so good. It's classy.
Absolutely, yeah, man. Yeah. And back in the day, like we were kids. Sure, we cared about the shapes, but we loved graphics.
Sure.
So, and skateboarding is so artistically driven, and you're an artistically driven person. And I want to get to that in a second, but I want to learn a little bit more about like your crew back then. Did you have a crew, or are you kind of a solo skater?
No, I had a crew. I mean, I solo skater in that I've done it my whole life since those 80s days, and it's always I never stopped. And then sometimes friends. Whatever, they get married or so I've been through some crews.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But definitely like in those in the times of like my middle school and high school years, I had a pretty solid crew of friends that would take photos and film and that kind of stuff.
Any old school crew homies you want to shout out? Yeah,
definitely. So there's kind of like two eras because there's like I went to a private school in Maine that I eventually got kicked out of, but I used to take this bus, and the first day that I was there, like I had etnies on, and I met these dudes like Alfred Arcity, Peter Murley, John Gerwick. And what's crazy is I'm still friends with Alfred Arcity, like we're still tight, and he has a son who now skates with us. like back in New England. It's pretty sick, but we had this crew called PPH, and it was Pimps, Players, and Hooligans. And that was one. And then the other crew from like my OG homies, like we didn't really have a name or anything. It was just like the dudes from high school that skated. That there wasn't like that many of us that were interested in skating in the mid to late 90s. So that'd be like Brad Jensen, Scott LeBlanc, Austin Costin. Oh, we were the Frontside crew eventually. I don't even know why. We just kept saying Frontside was the name of our crew. It's stupid.
Just like slasher grinds, frontside slashers?
No, we said this thing. It was like a catchphrase. I don't even know like how it started, but we'd be like, "Aw, shit, Frontside," and then it would just like we would just like. You'd like see someone in the hall in high school, and just say that shit. It was like a beacon.
Yeah, you know what I mean, kind of like the Supreme logo that kids draw on their book covers or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just I don't know why we just said front side, and like I was like I like backside, but whatever. It was the front side crew, you know.
Yeah, man. So what type of stuff did you skate? Like up in the East Coast, I mean, I'm sure there was lots of ramps, but
no, dude, you can say it was shit.
Like straight up street.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled now, right? In Texas and this modern era and stuff. No ditches. I mean, really just like plazas, and then the curbs weren't even good. They were like granite curbs, so you'd have to like bubbled out like granite, just like shitty, like bubbly. Not good curbs, and you'd have to go to like get like a candle, and just wax it, and do a little slappy nose slide. Yeah, we didn't. There was a lag. There was no, the East Coast. There was a lag, like in fashion and style and trick selection, all that. It just took a while to filter through in that time period. Yeah, because there's no internet, so it was like maybe you'd catch a hold of your buddy's trans world and you'd see a new photo, but it wasn't like there's nothing like now where you just intrinsically know what's cool. We didn't know what was everything. If you landed it, it was good. Yeah. That's all.
Well, back then, like the West Coast really dominated skateboarding, and nowadays the East Coast has its own specific culture, like Zoo York and everything like that. And so, but you had Mike Vallely and those types of folks back then.
And totally. And Zoo York was like a big thing. Like they were doing events. Like when I was in high school, that was kind of like the thing that was fueling the scenes in Boston and Philadelphia and New York and stuff. But so we were a part of that. Yeah. But we weren't intellectually aware of like an East Coast culture per se. Sure. I mean, there was Eastern exposure and those kinds of videos, but it was sort of like a bigger milieu of just like skateboarding. We weren't like I didn't realize that there's like, Philly skating and Boston skating until like you kind of get older and see the history of the family tree. Yeah. But at the time it was just like Zoo York was the hot shit and it just happened to be in our backyard. But at the time it was like just that's what we thought that's what everyone wanted, Sure, yeah. I don't know.
Huh. Any local skate parks or skate shops you remember that you can name? Or?
Oh, definitely. So it's cool. There's this guy on the East Coast. He's kind of a legend. He's from my zone. His name's Pete Talbot. He does Pete's Pigs, like custom skateboards.
Man. I have one hanging on my wall.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I bought one for my brother as well.
Sick. Dude, back in the day, I mean, like, I know now he's a buddy, right? But back in the day when I was a little guy, and he was probably in his 30s. I don't know how old Pete is. But back in the day, he was old. I was a young man, young boy, and he worked at this place called Something Else in Danvers. And you know who else worked there alongside Pete was Roger Bagley from the 9 Club.
Oh, all right.
Yep. They both worked there at Something Else back in the day.
I was wondering about Pete's story, like where he came from, because all of a sudden I just saw his boards on Instagram and they were so freaking cool. And
Dude,
never heard of him.
He's been around in the New England skate scene like from day one. Really? Man. Yeah, he's just, and it's like, I don't know, you've got people in your scene, right? It's like he's a legend, he's like royalty. I don't want to speak on his behalf. I feel like he might be a little shy and doesn't tell all the stories, but I know that he's been privy to so much crazy shit, like traveling and skating and like, he's been doing it for a long time.
Well, when he sent me the boards, he also sent me a copy of his zines as well. And like, I have those, and he gave me a handwritten letter. So I've stored it away just to kind of keep it, you know?
Yeah.
You create zines and you have like a lot of multimedia projects and stuff like that. Has that been an influence on you in any way, or like where did you get your influence from?
Well, actually, so my buddy Simon, who's kind of like my co-host, co-producer, right-hand man, and doing the Mongochatter stuff. Back in the day, okay, so he and his wife used to do punk rock zines, like the cut and paste. Yeah. His ex-wife, they did punk rock zines.
This is your friend, right? Not Pete.
My buddy Simon.
Okay. Simon.
Simon Payne. And then so one day in Seattle, he hit me up and he said, they're going to have LARB Fest, which was Sam Hitz had a zine festival in Seattle that was a culmination of all skate zines, and they had a show. Grindline, the band, played. It was a DIY zine skate rock festival.
Okay.
And Simon's like, we got to make a zine for that. So we made this thing called Block Party the Zine, and it was cut and paste punk rock zine. And sounds like there's some ripping going on out there. Yeah. And so we did that for a while, and then we had a band. We played music together. And then I started doing Mongochatter during COVID because I was like FaceTiming with my friends anyway. So I just started recording it. I'm like, I'll make a podcast of this. And then eventually Simon and I kind of joined forces on that. And sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but
no, please.
My buddy Tom Dupree, who works for Artisan, he's a builder, and he's another New England like living local legend. He's like, it's a video zine. It's kind of like so it's interview based format stuff, and then I splice in. I try to make it feel like if you're watching it, like you're flipping through a zine. So it kind of comes from Simon knowing how to do zines, and then he asking me if I wanted to make a skate zine for the LARB Fest. And then it just sort of like our relationship, we had a band and that developed, and then eventually Mongochatter came along, and now he helps me do it. And so it's interview, like podcast based, but still trying to make it feel like a punk rock zine.
Yeah.
You know,
so
I guess.
Super lo-fi DIY style, but
Yeah, and sometimes that's not always like, this is amazing, you know, like it's not always by choice how lo-fi it is, but that's just the aesthetic that it's gonna be, because it's like it's not like on some proud, like I'm not like, oh, working class. It's just like, it's a matter of fact. It's like, it's working class. Like, this is an iPhone on a tripod. Like, it's not pro. But I think that rings true with skating.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like where a lot of skaters connect is authentically and just going for it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we used to steal signs from the baseball fields in order to make ramps out of, you know, and like just put shit together just to skate because we didn't have anything, you know, and so then a lot of skaters didn't have anything anyway because they were latchkey kids, so they just did what they could. Yeah. And so you're carrying that aesthetic forward. Nowadays we have like DIY crete and ditches, and you know, kind of keep and forming communities around that. So, and you're doing the same thing, like with Shook Ditch and all that.
Well, you know, dude, I feel like I do my part with Mongochatter to give something back. But I do have like having spent time in Seattle and been around like the Marginal Way crew and Mark Hubbard, rest in peace, and like all that to me is a superior leg of skateboarding. Like my friend, you probably Clayton Grawl, he does skate DIY in Los Angeles and Urban Skate Project. It's like this man goes out and just builds stuff, and it's like, man, it's kind of, you know how people say, oh, everyone should work in a restaurant for 6 months. Yeah. It's like every skater should go work on a DIY build.
Sure.
And 100%. Understand what it is that, because we're riding all this shit. Yeah. And we go around and, set my GPS and hit fucking Chipotle on the way. But it's like someone built that, you know, and broke their back and called in from work or whatever, paid for the concrete. Like, you know what I mean? There's a story behind all that stuff. There's so much like drama and trauma from getting this stuff done that it's like, I just have that to me is a superior, like, okay, yeah, I make a zine, but that's like blood, sweat, and tears. You
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah. Like that's one thing that tech is and the pressure of our parents to graduate from college and go get this, white collar job and all that, we've lost what it means and the value of working with our hands and stuff like that. And I think with the DIY skate culture is something that people are reclaiming, the idea that these people working on construction sites are artisans,
Oh, dude. Yeah. And this is pretty common too. Like I have a lot of buddies in New England that are kind of like, they're in both worlds. Like they do concrete finishing work professionally, but then they build skate parks too. So it's like their knowledge and their passion has been, like professional use as far as like being a craftsman or just being able to get like work, non-skate stuff. And then also that grows in, like that work informs the skate park designing and building as well.
Absolutely.
So, there's a symmetry there I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And what about the name Mongochatter? Where'd that come from?
Well, like we said, it's pretty lo-fi and ghetto, and like I kind of way back in the day, I had this thing called Jon Hanks' Pipe Dreams, and I said it, like many things in my life, is loosely based around skateboarding. It was a podcast. Pre-9 Club, this was years ago, I had a skateboarding podcast. I was not consistent. It was a pipe dream. I didn't hold it down. And then COVID came around, and I have this friend, OJ Flynn. He's really cynical. He's a curb god. And I was like, what do you... I had the name first. I was like, what do you think about the name Mongochatter? He's like, it's rad. And it's like referring to, like, I kind of knew the podcast was going to be shitty. So I was like, it's chatter, it's Mongo chatter. It's like, I'm pushing Mongo, like, as far as doing a podcast. Like, I'm just, no disrespect to Pete Talbot, Pete's Pigs pushes Mongo.
So is Bill Danforth.
Oh yeah, so is Shane Wolf.
That's right. Off the grid Shane. Shout out to you.
But no, there's so many rad, I love Bill Danforth. There's so many rad Mongo rivers. It's not a dig on Mongo. I don't push Mongo. It's about it's pushing Mongo conversational.
Kind of the underdog of like Mongo's got a reputation for being kooky or whatever, just or off kilter, and so all right, that's cool, man. I really like that.
I think underdog. I think underdog is a well said way because it's such an easy target to pick on someone that pushes Mongo, but man, fucking you do it. You set up and do a trick, Mongo. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. That's crazy, moving your feet like that.
Dude, I pushed Mongo up until about 2003, maybe. And my brother Casey, he's just like, nah, dude, you got to change that, And so I was like, okay, and so I changed and I started pushing, regular.
Yeah.
But sometimes I kind of wish I still pushed Mongo nowadays.
Dude, I recently, not recently, I want to say 2017, I sort of like felt the cool guy pressure to learn how to push switch.
Yeah.
Because I always did switch Mongo. Not that I'm a big switch skater, but if I ended up riding switch, I'd go switch Mongo because like that Philadelphia Eastern exposure shit, And then I was like, oh, I got to learn how to push switch. Like, and it was just like a lame process. I kind of know what you mean. I wish I had just stayed switch Mongo,
I had to rewire my brain to push, the right way in parentheses, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like,
but I love your take on it though, to kind of to take the underdog side and the DIY lo-fi side.
I'll always take that side, man.
Yeah.
That's the side of history to be on for sure. As far as I'm like, that's why I got into skateboarding. It's like nefarious. It's on the underbelly, That's what I like.
What are your top 3 skateboarding professional and your favorite top 3 favorites? People.
Professional skateboarders?
Yeah.
Like in the history of time?
Yeah, sure. Or you can do 3 older ones when you were a kid and then 3 now, like modern ones. Let's do that.
Okay. Older, like classic, like just, well, it could be then and now, honestly, but I don't want to waste it as my now with all due respect. But I was obviously, when I was Big Bones Brigade, Tony Hawk was just, to me, Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, Godzilla. Tony Hawk was just, I was obsessed with Tony Hawk when I was a kid, just fired up.
Yeah.
So, and not even like, that was even before I knew about skating.
Yeah.
It was just as a little kid, just an obsession.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before I even knew like I didn't know what a Madonna was, but I love Tony Hawk. You know what I mean? So I guess it feels like a waste to say Tony Hawk.
No, man.
So
And that's
obvious.
actually kind of noble to admit that you were right there with the mainstream and you liked the godlike figure that everybody else did.
And it wasn't even
You don't
mainstream
have
to
be-
me.
yeah,
It was just as a little kid, there was no subculture. It was just my connection. It was my initial connection to professional skateboarding. Was Tony
Absolutely,
Hawk.
yeah.
I had seen some Stacy Peralta shit before, but I knew that was Tony Hawk's mentor.
Okay.
So it was all about Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Number one. My favorite skaters are Wade Speyer. So fucking hard. Wade Speyer is like first. All terrain, gnarly, NorCal. There's so many East Coast. Like, dude, does this happen a lot? Do people like melt down when you ask them?
Because it's just like there's nuances and niches and
Yeah.
everything that you like about certain skaters. But
Yeah, because I could tell you specifically, and like you said, a trick. I could tell you my favorite trick, or like because it's like it's a smorgasbord of like I love everybody. You know what I mean? Like I love how Bob Burnquist jumped into a fucking chasm with a parachute. That's not even skateboarding, but I love it. He's my favorite. Fucking Nigel Houston show off. He's my favorite too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, I love Wade Speyer. I guess Gons and Tony Hawk would be my three like OG.
Okay.
Modern? Do you mean like who's in the magazines now? Who do I like?
like modern rippers. They don't have to be in magazines, but you know.
Well, and I'm just kind of more into like more modern era. I would say I like TNT, Navarrete. Someone of my friend.
Yeah.
He's from Alaska. I know him from Seattle. He works for Grindline Skate Parks. His name's Chase Roosh.
Okay.
Look him up. Chase Lounge on Instagram. Doesn't even post or give a fuck about that, but just probably one of my. Like I got to pick a buddy for one of my. I guess
that's awesome.
As the underdog champion.
Yeah, man.
So I'll say Chase Roosh. Yeah,
Cool.
As my third. Sorry that took fucking 3 years to answer. It was so stressful.
If you're watching or listening. Yeah. So, all right, I'll end it on this one. What's something that you want to pass on to younger skaters, or
Oh man, I'll be honest, and I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but I do want to pass on a little bit. Just like, dude, it's not about being an asshole, but it's not about what I would pass on is like when we were skaters, and how it got to be so rad and awesome, and like why we're sitting in a container now in Texas and everything. At least my journey is like, we were rebels, dude, and we stuck to our guns, and we weren't wimps, and we didn't fucking bow down or change our opinion when the fucking wind blew in a different direction. So I would just say, my advice to younger skaters is to study the roots and culture of skateboarding and find out maybe that carefree. I'm not saying everyone has to be a Hell's Angels, but like, it's not your typical sport. There's something going on here that's different than like hockey or basketball or whatever. And I would just want to bring a little bit of that back, like a little bit of maybe danger, or not like danger, like, no one wants to break a bone, but like, or just keep it raw, dude. I would say
like a little bit of getting beat up by the jocks.
Well, maybe not that extreme, but just kind of like, dude, it's a different breed. It's a different, like, we don't really need like all this extra shit. It's rad that it's here, but it's like, dude, you could have the fucking Dead Kennedys play in your backyard at your house if you want to, if you really just stick around in this shit long enough. It's like, skateboarding means everything, but it's no big deal. And I just feel like it's like, it's not a big deal. It's just rad, and it's better to me when it's raw. I don't know how I would say that to a 15-year-old, but don't believe the hype.
There you go.
There you go. Don't believe the hype.
And you ended on quoting Flava Flav. Right on, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good
right.
times.
Thank you for listening to the Wood Skateboard Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have any questions or want to learn more, just go to theskategym.com. Now quit listening here and get out and skate. Brought to you by Eureka Street Creative, The Skate Gym, Hellsick, and Beware Skateboard.
That was a lot of noises. Whole family. Yeah. The pocket's fun. Get the G-turn. Yes. Nice. Oh my God.